Hey, brothers and sisters. So I wanted to do a part 2 of knowing God through the book of Job. The book of Job is the inspired account of one man's intense suffering, but it's more than that. The events of earth were the counterpoint to a dramatic confrontation in heaven. The opponents were not only Job versus his affliction, but also God versus Satan. In this sense, then, the book of Job is the record of an experience. Job's reputation, his faith and virtue were severely tested. The way he handled the series of tragedies that came into his life reflected his response to God's character. In a similar manner, the way our faith survives testing gives witness to the knowledge of the one in whom we have put our trust. Because of this, when we look at the book of Job, we also see God, and we learn about God through Job. There are different ways to study Job, but we can look at it from different perspectives. Satan's, Job's experience, Job's friends, Job's dialogues, and God himself. Number 1 is God according to Satan. The angels were assembled before God. For some reason, Satan was there with them. The tension was high between Satan and the Lord. In fact, the name Satan means adversary. At issue was God's place in man's heart. Satan had been roaming the earth, and we may assume that he had observed the extent of man's rebellion. It was then that the Lord called attention to Job and pointed out, "There is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, one who fears God and shuns evil." But Satan accused Job of following God for materialistic reasons, and he implied that God was his accomplice because he had blessed him. "Take everything away," he suggested, "and Job will curse you to your face." Satan's strategy had 2 goals. First, he wanted to cast doubt on Job's motives for righteousness. God was paying him off, he insinuated, like a political candidate today who trades votes for $50 bills. Second, Satan was attacking God's right to be followed and obeyed. A follower who is bought, after all, is not a true follower at all. He is serving himself. If Satan could prove that Job was serving himself and not God, he thought he could have evidence that no one loves God for who he is. God accepted Satan's challenge and put Job into Satan's hands. The devil was free to afflict Job, but he had to stay within certain limits. Satan must have been delighted as he left the assembly, for he was convinced that he would be an easy prey. It would be easy for him to get Job to deny the Lord. Seeing God. This behind-the-scenes interchange between God and Satan helps us see into God's character more clearly. For example, God not only knows who leads a blameless and upright life, but he is also pleased to show Satan that not all of mankind follows his evil ways. God is still faced with rebellion. The devil is in conflict with God, and we are the battleground. God is our defender. Satan is our adversary. God is in control. To be challenged is not to be dethroned. God has given Satan room to operate, even to enter the assembly of the angels, but he cannot overstep his bounds. This exchange between God and Satan carries some valuable lessons for us when affliction comes. Our suffering may be for supernatural cause. Job did not know that God had singled him out or that Satan was masterminding the attack. God limits Satan. Though the devil is the god of this age, he can only go so far as God will allow. God knows all about us, just as he knew about Job. We do not go unnoticed. And lastly, God uses our suffering to show his glory. Job's response was to witness to God's grace.